Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard, and I'm your host, Michael Lyons. And if you've been keeping up with the NBA and the NBA community the last couple days, maybe even the last week, you have seen the insane civil war beef going on between the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards. Now, it's a very strange beef, and it's all about the young cores of both of these teams. So I thought, a good idea. Let's rank every single team's young core on an A to F scale. And yeah, that's pretty much today's video. First, I do want to talk about the Sacramento Kings. Haven't really talked much about their offseason so far. There's still conversations that we're going after Russell Westbrook, which, in my opinion, I don't want to see Russell Westbrook on the Sacramento Kings. Um, we just signed Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder fits better with our team, and I'd also rather see Russell Westbrook competing at a higher level than the Sacramento Kings are going to be playing at. I mean, I love Russ. I think he's an amazing player. I just don't think he helps out the Sacramento Kings. His fit next to DeMar and Domantas Sabonis, who don't stretch the floor at all. DeMar can stretch the floor, and Sabonis showed last year he can knock down some shots, but these are not prolific three-point shooters. And I get we have Zach LaVine and Keegan Murray, who can be prolific three-point shooters. I just don't like the fit of Russell Westbrook. The paint's going to be very clogged up with DeMar being in the mid range and Sabonis being towards the basket, that I just don't want to really see that. And then also, Jonathan Kuminga really wants to come to Sacramento. The Kings are in heavy talks with him. And at this point, it's probably going to be a sign and trade, which I think Jonathan Kuminga could turn into a really good NBA player. Nothing crazy, not any all-star, all NBA level player, but he could be a very respectable, confident NBA player once he gets on a team that really values him and treats him like the player he is. He has untapped potential that we haven't seen because he's been in the Warrior system his whole career, but I don't want us to trade away anybody to go and get him. Devin Carter was in talks to go and get him. Like, that was the trade piece. Keon Ellis is a trade piece. I just don't want to see any of those guys get given up for Jonathan Kuminga. If we could just get him on a sign, the Warriors just don't um, match our contract offer sheet, then I would be perfectly fine with it. But I just don't want to give up anybody to get Jonathan Kuminga. So hopefully by the next time I have my show, there'll be more news, there'll be more talks, especially with the whole un or restricted free agency. It's been so dead, nobody's moved. Teams are being very smart with their money and what you have to be with the second apron and everything. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we can get to a agreement with some of these players and get some of these guys on teams because the free agent or the offseason has really dried up. At this point, we have the Wizards and the Hornets arguing with each other, so you know that's when we are in a bad time of the offseason. But today we're going to rank on a or grade every team on an A to F scale, including A pluses, A minuses. And yeah, we're gonna just go in order of how they finished in the standings last season. We're gonna start with Eastern Conference. First up, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their young core, let me preface this. Young core is 24 years of age and younger. And I'm grading it off potential and what they've done so far, like up to this point. So for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have Tyrese Proctor, Jalen Tyson, Luke Travers, Evan Mobley, and Naquan Tomlin. I gave this a solid B. It's very, very stretched from Evan Mobley. He is the biggest name on this list and the only name that's really got a lot of playing time and is a starter Defensive Player of the Year. So this was kind of hard to grade, and it kind of set up some of the later teams. But I gave Cleveland a B. Evan Mobley, one of the best defenders in the league. Obviously, he needs to get a little bit more confident on the offensive end. Kenny Atkinson and the Cavs need to get him more involved on the offensive end because I feel Evan Mobley still has a lot of untapped potential on the offensive end of the basketball that we haven't seen yet. And once he can untap that and start using it, this Cleveland Cavaliers team could be a powerhouse in the Eastern Conference and be the solidified number one each year. But that was Cleveland. I gave them a B. Next up, Boston. Hugo Gonzalez, Jordan Walsh, Josh Minot, Hayden Gray, and Baylor Shireman. This this list right here to me was a C minus. Um, One, haven't seen a lot of minutes from a lot of these guys. Jordan Walsh has shown some promise. Baylor Shireman had a really good game once. Hugo Gonzalez was obviously projected to be a lottery pick, fell to them later in the draft. So they have some potential. I haven't seen enough of these guys to really grade them how I feel. So that's why I gave them a C minus. Some teams I gave them kind of around a C because I don't really know what to grade these guys on. Uh, but Boston C minus. Obviously, this can change after this year because we're going to see a lot more of these young guys playing. Hopefully, Baylor Shireman. A lot of people are high on him. I'm not particularly high on him as of right now, but once I get to see him in extended minutes and extended games, maybe that might change. Jordan Walsh, I think, fits with Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics as a 3 and D guy, more on the defensive end, kind of playing like a Derek White on the defensive end. And Hugo Gonzalez has a lot of untapped potential and a lot of potential in a first round pick. So we'll see what we can get this year from this Boston Celtics young core. But I just gave them a C minus because we haven't really seen much of them. Next up, the New York Knicks. Pacome Didier, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I can never pronounce his name correctly. Ariel Hukporti, Tyler Kolek, and Miles McBride. Now, this team, like Boston, some of these guys we haven't seen a lot of run from due to Tibbs last year, not playing any young guys. So Kolek, Ariel Hukporti, Pacome, we haven't really seen a lot of these guys. But Miles McBride is the reason why I put this above the Boston Celtics. I gave the New York Knicks a C, and I get Knicks fans, they love Miles McBride, but sometimes you have to take what you're getting from these other teams. And I don't think you can put this New York Knicks young core above the Indiana Pacers, who are next, that we'll get to, just because the amount of names and the amount of good names they have, and the amount of names that we've seen play confident, extended minutes in the regular season and even in the postseason. I believe Miles McBride is a really good point guard, really good backup point guard, gives the Knicks a lot of energy when he comes in the game. I just don't think he is as impactful as some other guys that are part of these young cores. Like I think Hugo Gonzalez or Jordan Walsh could be to Boston. Miles McBride gives the Knicks what they need, but that's what you're gonna get. You know what you're expecting from Miles McBride. I think he's kind of hit the peak of his powers in the NBA. So, and not seeing any of these other young guys play much, I don't really know how to grade their potential. So that's why I gave him a C. Gave him above the Celtics because I've seen more from their guy, and I have more confidence in Miles McBride than I do Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, and Hugo Gonzalez. But that's not to say that this Knicks team, their young core couldn't jump up because see a jump from Ariel Hukporti. He plays more minutes under Mike Brown, or Pacome plays more minutes. So we'll see. Obviously, this is always going to change year in and year out. But this is just based off right now what I've seen. But next, like I said, gave the Knicks a C. Next up, I got the Indiana Pacers, and I gave them a C plus. Their young core consists of Johnny Furphy, Jarris Walker, Benedict Mathurin, Talon Peter, Cam Jones, Isaiah Jackson, Ben Shepherd, James Wiseman, and Ray J. Dennis. Now, obviously, there are two-way players, and this is all comes from Basketball Reference. So if you don't agree with the roster construction, don't take it up with me. I took the rosters from uh, Basketball Reference, and obviously there was some names that weren't exactly correct, so I changed them up a little bit. But this is what Basketball Reference has, and it also includes two-way players. Um, Indiana, they have a plethora of names. Some of these guys like Talon Peter, Cam Jones, uh, Ray J. Dennis, don't really know what to expect from those. Obviously, some of them rookies last year, rookies coming into this year, and then. But the reason why I gave them a C plus, Benedict Mathurin could be a star this coming year. He could be though. That's the main preface. Having Tyrese Halliburton out, he's going to have a lot more looks, and he's going to be forced to play with the ball a little bit more. So I'm excited to see what we get from Benedict Mathurin. Ben Shepherd played a lot of really solid minutes in the postseason. James Wiseman injured to start last year. Still think there's a lot of potential in James Wiseman. He just has to get in the right system and stay healthy. Isaiah Jackson, another guy that needs to stay healthy. Jarris Walker also played some really solid minutes in the postseason before he got injured. And then Johnny Furphy. Don't really know what to expect from him right now. Had a nasty dunk in the summer league. Played all right in the summer league, but not sure what to expect from him. I gave him a C plus just off the potential of Benedict Mathurin and the fact that Benedict Mathurin, Ben Shepherd, and Jarris Walker have played confident and extended playoff minutes. So that's why I gave them a C plus. Next, to one of the worst young cores in the NBA, it is the Milwaukee Bucks. Their young core consists of Tyler Smith, Chris Livingston, Ryan Rollins, Mark Sears, and Andre Jackson Jr. This team, I genuinely think I put down two letters, two grades, and I think I'm going to give this young core. It feels harsh to give them an F, but this young core really is bad. I don't see a lot, like any sort of potential. I think Andre Jackson Jr. might have a little bit of potential. Tyler Smith obviously didn't play a lot last year. Chris Livingston also didn't play a lot last year. Ryan Rollins is all right, but he's nothing to put them over the top. And now, obviously, not having Damian Lillard and Giannis getting older and having talks about not wanting, like, actually thinking about requesting a trade out of Milwaukee. Having a young core that doesn't have any sort of potential is scary in my opinion, and not seeing a lot of these guys, it doesn't make it any easier. So I'm gonna be less harsh. I'm gonna give them a D minus. It is probably the worst grade I'm going to give throughout this whole video because I just genuinely think none of these guys are really going to amount into any sort of confident role player that could play in a role on any sort of team. Andre Jackson Jr., I think he could be solid on the Bucks this coming year. He was solid last year, but then he lost his rotational minutes. Ryan Rollins, kind of just a pickup, got re-signed this year. Not really sure what his role is going to be. If he's just going to be a bench point guard that he comes in, plays some minutes when guys are injured. But yeah, I'm going to give the Milwaukee Bucks a D minus. Next up, the first really, really good young core of the Eastern Conference, the Detroit Pistons. Ron Holland, Jalen Duren, Bobby Clintman, Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Chaz Lanier, Cade Cunningham, Isaiah Stewart, and Marcus Sasser. I gave this an A minus. You have your star in Cade Cunningham, and you have really solid pieces around him. Uh, Obviously, the Pistons are just a young team, but all their really good players that you're expecting big things from in the next couple of years are a part of their young core. Asar Thompson, going to be one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Perfect fit next to Kate Cunningham. Obviously, this could be higher if Jaden Ivey has a breakout year this year, which I think he has to have. I think he has to play a Dennis Schroeder type role next to Cade Cunningham while also being able to put the ball down on the floor, get to the basket, deliver clutch shots. Jaden Ivey has to have a breakout year this year. You also get Jalen Duren, who is your center of the future. Maybe we would like him to solidify that a little bit more this coming year. But also, Beef Stew, really solid role player, fits perfectly with the Detroit culture. Great screen setter, can knock down a couple threes. Perfect to have next to Kate Cunningham. And then Ron Holland, who just had an amazing summer league, even though it was in a limited time. Shot about 56% from the three-point line on confident three-point shooting. I mean, he was the fifth overall pick last year for a reason. So, or what was Ron Holland last year? I believe he was top five, and I believe. Uh, but he has a lot of potential, and yeah, it's only gonna go up for the Detroit Pistons. So I gave theirs an A minus. Next up, we have the Orlando Magic. Again, another really solid young core. Now, it depends if you look at the young core and you're like Franz, Paolo, like they're a part of the young core, but they're kind of already out of that. In my opinion, they're 24 and younger, so I put them in the young core. The Orlando Magic young core consists of Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, Caleb Houston, Tristan da Silva, Jet Howard, Anthony Black, Noah Penda, and Jace Richardson. I, as well, gave this an A minus. Now, same as the Detroit Pistons, but in a little bit different of a way. The Pistons have a little bit more names that I'm confident in, whereas the Magic have that star power, and you know what you're going to expect from Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs. And I think this coming year is going to be a huge year for Franz Wagner. I think if he doesn't have a confident three-point shooting year like they need next to Paolo Banchero, um, there's a chance that he could be moved in the coming off season. So watch out for Franz Wagner. If he's struggling this year from the three-point line, I think there's definitely talks of him being moved and then the Orlando Magic just moving in the direction of Paulo Banchero is our guy. He's our star. We just need to get rotational and pieces around him that fit perfectly with him. Um, Obviously, Jalen Suggs, all defensive guard. Tristan da Silva had some really solid minutes last year. Jet Howard still don't really know what to think of him. He hasn't been great in his NBA minutes, but also he hasn't got extended minutes to get confidence. Anthony Black, I think this is going to be a big year for him, getting that solidified backup point guard minutes. No Cole Anthony to take minutes away from him. He really needs to shine. Obviously, Tyus Jones is there, which will make his job a little bit easier. Jace Richardson, their first round pick this year, not expecting much in the first year from him as a smaller guard that isn't great on the defensive end. And then Noah Penda, don't really know much about him. He was all right in summer league, um, but I gave him an A minus just because Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs are just so good. Um, but yeah, moving on, we got the Miami Heat. They got Kasparis Yakashonis, Kalel Ware, Nikola Jovic, Keyshawn Johnson, Myron Gardner, Vlad Golden, Pele Larson, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. I gave this a C plus. Now, again, kind of a weaker young core. Kasparis, obviously a first round pick this last year, looked pretty solid in summer league. Kalel Ware though, that's the talking point of this young core is Kalel Ware. He was putting out monster numbers in the summer league. He fits perfectly next to Bam Adebayo. I think Kel'el Ware could easily be a defensive menace for 10 plus years. Obviously, it's all about motor with him. That's why he fell in the draft last year. But having Eric Spoelstra, having him next to Bam Adebayo, he's going to be an all defensive center year in and year out. Going to eventually uh like fight with Victor Wembanyama and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Evan Mobley for the defensive player of the year voting. And then Pele Larson, didn't really get to see much of him, but I think he could fit well. Again, it's just Miami has a lot of point guards that they're not confident in. I'm not confident in, so I don't know what to really rank their point guards as. Nikola Jovic also lost a lot of his minutes last year. And Jaime Jaquez Jr., great first year. Second year, lost a lot of his minutes. So C plus for Miami. Just having Kel'el Ware is such a benefit to this team because if he wasn't here, this could really be a C minus to even a D plus area for Miami. Next, we have Atlanta with Asa Newell, Zachary Richichet, Eli Ndai, Nikola Jursic, Kobe Buffkin, Dyson Daniels, Mo Gay, Jalen Johnson, and Double O Onyeka Okongwu. I gave this team a solid B. Zachary Richichet, obviously first overall pick last year. Insane potential. Asa Newell, projected lottery pick, fell to the 23rd or 22nd pick in the draft. Dyson Daniels, defensive player of the year votings last year. Set a record for steals, like a bunch of steal records last year. Mo Gay, really solid defensive piece for them. Jalen Johnson obviously missed last year, but I think this is going to be another year where he's going to be in conversations for most improved player. And then Onyeka Okongwu solidified his starting center role last year. Obviously, Kristaps comes in, probably going to take a lot of starter games away from Double O, but this team, the young core is just really solid. Gave it a B, could easily jump up to a B plus. I think the biggest thing, Kobe Buffkin, not really having a true backup point guard at all for this Atlanta Hawks team. Not having a backup point guard that you're confident in. Kobe Buffkin has to show up this year and prove that he can be the backup point guard for them if the Atlanta Hawks do decide that they are going to make a run in the postseason, which I believe they can this coming year. And I'm excited to see Jalen Johnson in extended minutes next to Zachary Richichet. Just going to make both their lives easier, and they're going to put up some monster numbers next to Trae Young for the next 5 to 10 years, depending on when this team gets broken up. But I love this Atlanta Hawks young core, and I gave them a B. Next, a mid, really, extremely mid young core in the Chicago Bulls. Noah Senge, Modest Buzelis, Lachlan Olbrich, Julian Phillips, Wooga Poplar, Dalen Terry, Patrick Williams, Yuki Kawamura, and Isaac Okoro. I gave this young core a C. And there are some good names, some guys with potential. Modest Buzelis showed a lot of potential last year. Isaac Okoro can be a really solid piece on a contending team, a playoff team. Patrick Williams got drafted off of build, never really had the potential of being a star in the NBA. Dalen Terry, solid player. Julian Phillips, another solid player if he gets time. And then Noah Senge. Um, didn't really watch much of him in the summer league, so don't really know how to rank him. So I'm gonna get dunked down by Johnny Furphy. And but the reason why I gave the Chicago Bulls team a C for their young core is there's so much overlapping talent in overlapping positions. Isaac Okoro, Modest Buzelis, Patrick Williams, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, Noah Asenge. they're all wings that can play the two, three, and four. And there's no point guard that you're confident in. Yuki Kawamura. I like Yuki. I think he's a fun guy to have on your team, but he is not somebody that you're projecting to be a good backup point guard for you. He's just a bench guy. And yeah, just they have so much overlapping talent, overlapping size, overlapping positions that it's just not a great way to build a young core. You want different positions, different sizes, different abilities. All these guys are kind of the same mold of player, and yeah, it's just like they're gonna take minutes away from each other, and you're not really ever going to see the true potential of a lot of these guys. Hopefully, Modest can break that, but don't expect much from this uh Chicago Bulls young core. That's why I gave it a C. Next up, we have the Toronto Raptors with Ulrich, Ulrich Chomche, Colin Murray Boyles, Jacoby Walter, Grady Dick, Chucky Hepburn, Jamal Shed, Elijah Martin, Jonathan Mobo, Scotty Barnes, Jamison Battle, and David Roddy. Really solid young core. Um, Love Colin Murray Boyles. Thought he was a good pickup. Would have rather seen them get come on Maluwak, in my opinion. But they got their guy. Jacoby Walter obviously hit a game winner last year, showed a lot of potential. Grady Dick, still waiting for him to break out in his third year coming up this year. Jonathan Mobo was really, really good for the Toronto Raptors last year. Jamal Shed had some really good moments. And then Scotty Barnes, obviously their leader of their franchise right now. That's their guy. He's part of their young core. I have to give this a B minus. Obviously, some of these guys in similar to the Chicago Bulls, a lot of overlapping talent and overlapping size and positioning, but also with this Toronto Raptors team, they have a build. They get their guys that they want. If you're 6'7" and above, 6'5" and above, play some defense and could put the ball on the floor, you could play for the Toronto Raptors. Pretty much everybody in on their list can do that, so that's why I gave them a B minus. The fit of these guys all next to each other, it's not gonna equate to winning basketball, but it fits what the Toronto Raptors want. Unlike the Chicago Bulls, where these guys aren't just gonna like they're not gonna play minutes together a lot of the time. Whereas this Toronto Raptors team, we could see a lineup of Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, uh, Colin Murray Boyles, Jonathan Mobo, and Scotty Barnes on the floor at any given time. So that's why I gave him a B minus compared to the C for the Chicago Bulls. Also, their young guy, their star, their franchise piece right now in Scotty Barnes is a part of their young core. So that just shoots them up over the Chicago Bulls and over a couple other teams. Next up, the team that I really just didn't really know how to rate them, to grade them. The Brooklyn Nets. They got Nolan Traore, Ben Saraf, Yegor Demon, Drake Powell, Derek Whitehead, Noah Clowney, Danny Wolf, Keon Johnson, Toussaint Evubam, Drew Timmy, Tyson Etienne. I mean, I just don't know how to rank this team. They're going in a weird direction. Don't really know what to expect from them. They're a competent team last year. Jordy Fernandez did a really good last year of making them confident, getting them to win some games that they probably shouldn't have won, made it worse for them, dropping in the draft order. They bring in 5 draft picks this year and 5 first round picks, but I still just don't feel confident in any of these guys really turning into something spectacular. A lot of overlapping talent. Um, got two. They're just a weird young core to rank. So I just gave them a C because I just genuinely don't know how to rank them. So just gonna kind of breeze past the Brooklyn Nets because I just genuinely don't really know what to expect from this team and who on this team is staying, who's going to be moved. So that's why I gave Brooklyn a C. Next up, finishing up the Eastern Conference with a couple more teams, we had the Philadelphia 76ers with VJ Edgecombe, Jared McCain, Justin Edwards, Dominic Barlow, Adem Bona, Hunter Salas, Igor Milicic, Jabari Walker, Janai Broom, Trendon Watford, and Tyrese Maxey. This is a really, really solid young core. Um, Tyrese Maxey, obviously your next piece down the line if Joel Embiid does have another year of injuries. VJ Edgecombe, the next in line after that. And then Jared McCain probably would have won Rookie of the Year last year if he didn't get injured so early. Justin Edwards, solid rotational piece for this team last year. And Jabari Walker, pick up from this last offseason. Janai Broom, drafted in the second round by Philly. I gave this a solid B plus in my opinion. Just having Tyrese Maxey, who is already a proven all star, star in the league. He when he played last year, he was really really good for a Philly team that was really really bad. VJ obviously has that crazy, insane potential of being a star, and being able to put him next to Tyrese Maxey just makes it insanely, insanely valuable. And then Jared McCain can kind of fit in any role you give him. And yeah, I just love what Philly has built for their young core so far. So I gave it a B plus. Next up, the two bottom teams in the Eastern Conference, the two teams that are fighting for who has a better young core, and I'm going to uh, give you my take on it. First up, Charlotte. They have Liam McNeely, Tajon Salon, Con Knipple, Nick Smith Jr., Zion James, Brandon Miller, KJ Simpson, Musa Diabate, Ryan Kalkbrenner, LaMelo Ball, Antonio Reeves, and Josh Green. This young core, if they can stay healthy, is really, really strong. Now, I don't think a lot of these players are going to equate to winning basketball, because I just don't believe Charlotte is going to have these guys stay healthy. They're just kind of destined to not be a good team. But Liam McNeely, Con Knipple, these two led them to the Summer League championship. Not gonna take that away from them. Brandon Miller, when he's on the court, has shown the flashes of why he was the third overall pick or second overall pick behind Victor Wembanyama, and why there was actual talks of him going first overall because of the potential he has as a scorer. And then LaMelo Ball, obviously their franchise player. I gave them a B minus, and I genuinely gave them a B minus because they have a star and they have a second option in their young core. Whereas the Wizards that we'll get to in a second, I don't know who their star is yet. I think they have a lot of really solid options. They're just kind of waiting for one of these guys to jump out and stand out. And they're even younger than the Charlotte Hornets are, so I'm going to give them a little bit more time. But right now, I'm going to give the Charlotte Hornets a B minus. And for the Washington Wizards, I'm going to give them a C plus. The Wizards got Will Riley, Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, AJ Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Cam Whitmore, Jalen Martin, Keyshawn George, Malachi Branham, Tristan Vucevic, Jameer Watkins, Justin Champagnie, Dylan Jones. They have a plethora of names. I'm just waiting for one of these guys to be the star. I think this Washington Wizards team is built more to like be a better team in the future. But right now, as they're both still really young teams, I just have to wait for the Wizards to get a star player to put them above the Charlotte Hornets, in my opinion. Just having the Charlotte Hornets having LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, who would also probably be the star for the Washington Wizards. Um, I can't put them. I can't put the Wizards above the Hornets for that. So that's my take on the Hornets Wizards beef, and that's my rank grading for both the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards. Now, moving on to the Western Conference, we're going to start off with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And let's just be honest, this is an A. They got Thomas Sorber, Nikola Topic, Kason Wallace, Usman Jiang, Jalen Williams, and J Dub, Jalen and J Dub, J Will and J Dub. I meant sorry. AJ Mitchell, Chet Holmgren, and Brooks Barnhizer. They're coming off a championship. Three people in their young core started NBA Finals games. That is the epitome of an A. Honestly, I'm giving this an A plus young core. Having three guys that played impactful minutes in the NBA Finals is just that's an A plus young core right there. J Dub is going to be an all NBA. He was just an all NBA player, all defensive player as well. Chet Holmgren could be a defensive player of the year um in the future. And then Nikola Topic, uh I mean, he showed the potential he had last year and why he went so high in the draft. We didn't get to see much of him, or didn't get to see at all anything of him last year due to injury. Summer League, he was killing it. Casey Wallace is their defensive menace. Just kind of sitting there, learning from Lou Dort, learning from Alex Caruso, while also being impactful at such a young age. Jay Will, fan favorite. When he comes in, he plays some really impactful minutes. And then, yeah, like some of these guys aren't even going to play for a year or two, and they might not even ever play impactful minutes for the Thunder, like Usman Jiang or Brooks Barnhizer. So, OKC, they're an A plus young core. Don't think there's anybody that's really going to refute that. Just you could just put J Dub and Chet in your young core, and that would be an A plus young core. So that's why I gave Oklahoma City an A plus. Next up, the Houston Rockets, another really solid young core. They got Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson, J.D. Davison, Alperen Sengun, Cameron Matthews, Isaiah Crawford, and Tari Eason. I gave this young core a B plus. Um, they don't have they have Alperen Sengun, who is their star of this young core, and then Ahmed Thompson, who is going to be a star on the defensive end. Maybe not a full-time star in the NBA, but he's going to be one of those guys that you just put on the best player on the opposite team and you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about sending help because Amen Thompson is going to be that guy that's going to lock up some of the stars in the NBA. And then Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, also really impactful players, fit the immediate role that Ime Udoka is going to throw them in. And yeah, Houston Rockets, obviously Jalen Green would also be a part of this young core, but they had to trade him away to get Kevin Durant. But yeah, this young core, I mean, they have their guys of the future after Kevin Durant. So I give him a B plus, really solid. Could be an A if we saw more from Reed Shepard last year. But also this could be an A plus by the end of the year because Amen Thompson takes that next jump into stardom. So but Alperen Sengun, their star, is part of their young core, and just a bunch of blocks, a bunch of really solid building blocks around him that makes his job easier. He makes their job easier. This is a B plus young core. Next up, not another good young core, a mid, really mid to even bad tier of young core of the Los Angeles Lakers with Bronny James, Adu Thiero, Augustus Marcionis, Arthur Kaluma, Chris Magnon, Jake LaRavia, RJ Davis, Dalton Connect, and Eric Dixon. I gave this young core a D plus. Um, A lot of these guys aren't going to play a lot of minutes. Don't connect, not really part of their young core because they try to trade him away. He also doesn't really want to be in Los Angeles. Bronny James, their biggest name of their young core, not high on him. Still believe he should be in college at this point. Maybe a rookie this year if he had a good year at USC. And then Jake LaRavia is another one of their young core that is going to play some minutes. They are expecting him to fill the Dorian Finney-Smith role that they left because they didn't want to pay him an extra year. Still don't understand that. It's a D plus young core. Not expecting anything from any of these first year rookies, um, like Edu Thiero, Augustus Marcionis, Arthur Kaluma, Chris Magnon, RJ Davis, Eric Dixon. Not expecting anything from those guys in their first year. They're not going to play. So D plus young core. Just not excited to watch any of these guys. Dalton Connect obviously is as the guy with the most potential. He's not even really a part of their young core. So this is a D plus. Could even be lower, but that's what I put the Los Angeles Lakers young core as. Next up, the Denver Nuggets. They have Tamar Bates, Peyton Watson, Deron Holmes, Julian Strawther, Curtis Jones, Spencer Jones, Christian Braun, and Zeke Nnaji. I put this as a C plus young core, having two guys that played in really impactful minutes in the playoffs the last couple of years. Christian Braun, who was a starter on, or not a starter on the championship team, but impactful minutes in the championship year, and then moved into a starter role. It's been really good ever since then. Peyton Watson, Swiss Army knife on the defensive end. Would like to see a little bit of a jump on the offensive end. But then Julian Strawther, I mean, he was killing it in that one game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Has that potential. Dayron Holmes, didn't see a lot of him last year, but I think he has a lot of potential. So yeah, C plus for the Denver Nuggets. Nothing crazy in their young core, but just three really solid pieces that fit perfectly next to Nikola Jokic and are going to play minutes down or two guys that are really going to play minutes down the stretch when they're in championship contention, fighting with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second round or even in the conference finals. So, give them a C plus. Not crazy, but not nothing bad. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Clippers. This is another really bad young core, in my opinion. They have Cam Christie, Trenton Flowers, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, uh, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Kobe Sanders. That's their young core right there. Obviously, Cam Christie is a solid player when he gets some minutes. Nothing that you're not looking at him as always playing minutes for you. It's just the kind of like when we are dealing with some injuries, we throw Cam Christie in. Uh, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, didn't watch much of him in college. Didn't really see much of him in the summer league. He was a first round pick for a reason though, albeit at the end. And then Patrick Baldwin Jr. also don't really know what to expect from him. I have to give this young core a D minus because I don't think a lot of these guys have a lot of potential. Don't think they're going to shine with the Clippers at all, and don't think a lot of these guys are going to get minutes in the next year or two. So you want a young core where these guys are going to fight for some minutes, and I just don't see it from any of these guys. Um, Yannick Conan Niederhauser could play some solid minutes for them with Brook Lopez resting or injuries to Brook Lopez or Ivica Zubac. So not gonna put it completely in the F, but I'm gonna give it a D minus. Next up, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves with Juan Beringer, Rocco Zikarsky, Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, Jalen Clark, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, and then Terrence Shannon Jr. literally just turned 25 yesterday. So I'm going to put him in the young core because he just turned 25. Um, obviously it doesn't really change that much. Terrence Shannon Jr. is going to be a really impactful piece for them, going to fill that Nikhil Alexander Walker hole. But he didn't make me sway from like an A minus to a B plus or a B plus to an A minus or anything. I gave this Minnesota Timberwolves young core an A. You have Anthony Edwards, who is one of the stars of the NBA, looked at as could be the face of the NBA one day. Jaden McDaniels, one of the best defenders in the league. And then Rob Dillingham, who was the fifth overall pick last year, I believe, or somewhere around there. Um, yeah, he has to take the step. He has to be there. The potential of Rob Dillingham, Juan Beringer. I mean, we saw what he could do on the defensive end, and he's going to play some impactful minutes, probably from, I want to say from day one, but I don't think he's going to. I think he will get um, in some games this year, and I think he's going to show his potential, but this first year, I'm not expecting too much from him. But when you have one of the best players in the league, your young core is going to be high. uh, it's going to be a high grade. And then when you also have guys like Rob Dillingham, Jaden McDaniels, Jalen Clark, who also played some minutes in the postseason, it has to be an A. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors, who have Brandon Pajensky, Gui Santos, Moses Moody, Will Richard, Teron Armstrong, and Alex Tui. Now, Brandon Pajensky, solid piece for them. Play some minutes. Nothing crazy there. Gui Santos played some minutes in the postseason. Excuse me. And then Moses Moody, who was one of their better perimeter defenders for the last 2 years, and then can show some flashes on the offensive end. I gave this young core a C though. Gave it a little bit lower than the Denver Nuggets because both teams have guys that play some really strong minutes in this past year, and a guy that gets some spot minutes every once in a while. But I like the Deron Holmes. I like the Tamar Bates. I like the Zeke Nnaji better than I like the rest of this Golden State Warriors young core outside of Brandon Pizensky, Moses Moody, and Gui Santos. So gave him a C. Not much to really talk about here, other than Moses Moody should probably uh, get a little bit more respect from the Golden State Warriors. And Jonathan Kuminga could probably be a part of this young core, but you're playing with my guy's money, so we'll see what happens there. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies, who have G.G. Jackson, Cedric Coward, Jalen Wells, Javon Small, Zach Edey, P.J. Hall, Santi Aldama, Scottie Pippen Jr., and Vince Williams Jr. This is a really solid young core of guys that fit perfectly with this Memphis Grizzlies core of Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant, along with the identity of Memphis. Um, I gave it a C plus. Kind of stuck between a C plus and a B minus. I think Jalen Wells was one of the better rookies last year, being a second round pick. G.G. Jackson didn't really see much of him last year, but in his first year he was really good. Summer League he was really good. Zach Edey obviously was a top pick last year, really solid. Nothing crazy though. He's not gonna ever put you over the top, but having him anchoring your defense is super impactful. Then you got Santi Aldama, who is a budding role player in the NBA, and he's going to fit perfectly next to Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant for the time being. And yeah, I'll give it a B minus because I think it's a little bit better than the next team on the list that I gave a C plus. Next up, we got the Sacramento Kings, my guys, Sacktown baby. We here. Um, our young core is Maxime Renaud, Devin Carter, Nick Clifford, Dylan Cardwell, Isaiah Stevens, and Keegan Murray. I gave this young core a C plus. I'm going to put the Grizzlies a little bit above us because I feel more confident in Cedric Howard and Jalen Wells than I do uh, Devin Carter and Nick Clifford. Nick Clifford, I think, is better than Cedric Howard and Jalen Wells, but Devin Carter didn't show a lot of flash in the summer league. Didn't show a lot of flash in the limited time we saw of him last year in the regular season. Maxime Reinaud looked like a solid NBA player, but he's going to find it troublesome to get some minutes. Keegan Murray still hasn't got back to his form of rookie year Keegan Murray, so I just have to put it below the Grizzlies because I think they have a little bit more to look forward to with this young core. I think it fits a little bit better. And yeah, it's nothing against any of the guys on Sacramento. I'm just being honest that I think the Grizzlies young core is just better than the Sacramento Kings one. So I gotta give it a B minus. All right, C plus for the Sacramento Kings, B minus for the Memphis Grizzlies. Sorry about that. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks, who obviously have Cooper Flag, Derek Lively, Ryan Nembhard, Max Christie, Miles Kelly, Matthew Cleveland, Musa Cisse, Jaden Hardy, and Olmax, Olivier Maxence Prosper. I gave this a B for a young core. Derek Lively, proven, proven that he can be a starting center in the NBA. He's going to fit perfectly next to Anthony Davis this coming year. Cooper Flag, first overall pick, generational talent. Um, I'm not super high on Cooper Flag. I don't think he's going to be the best player from his draft class. I think Dylan Harper could easily be better than him. I think Ace Bailey could have a better career than him. So, nothing crazy out of there. I just had to give it a B. You have Cooper Flag, you have Derek Lively. Those are building blocks of the future for Dallas after Kyrie Irving and after Anthony Davis. And you're already putting them in a position where Derek Lively was in the NBA Finals his rookie year. He's going to be fighting in the playoffs again this year. And then you also have like Ryan Nembhard, who his brother, same kind of mold, like second round pick, undrafted, falls, really good college player, then kind of pans out in the NBA because they're just good basketball players. Um, Olmax, haven't seen a lot from him. Still confident he could be a rotational player for this Dallas Mavericks team. Just the wing depth of this Dallas Mavericks team is hard for him to get some minutes. So I gave them a B. Just Cooper Flag and Derek Lively are the building blocks of the future, and they're going to be a strong team for years to come with these guys. Next up, we got the Phoenix Suns. Got Kaman Maluak, Rasheer Fleming, Ryan Dunn, Kobe Brea, Oso Ighodaro, Jalen Green, CJ Huntley, Mark Williams, and Jared Butler. This is a really, really solid young core. Um, Prior to this offseason, they had a little young core, and now that you add Mark Williams, Kamal Maluak, Rasheer Fleming, Jalen Green, all those guys, Kobe Brea to your young core, I have to give this a B as well. Now, I don't think any of these guys have the potential of Cooper Flag, so I'm not going to put them above them because Cooper Flag could be the best player in the league in a couple years on both ends of the floor. I don't see that from the Phoenix Suns. Jalen Green, obviously, still a older person in this young core. Mark Williams, who they traded for. I just really like the fit. Having all this next to Devin Booker, he's gonna keep him around. He sees the talent that they have, sees the potential they have. I don't think he sees them as like we're not going in a direction. They're going in a little bit of a rebuild, but I think this Phoenix Suns team could surprise some people with how good they're going to be next year. I wasn't high on them in my original, way too early off-season standings prediction, but when I come back and I do my real prediction, I think this Phoenix Suns team is going to be a lot higher on that list. Just from what I saw from Kobe Brea and just the potential of Kamal Maluak and Mark Williams in being a really strong center rotation that we haven't really seen with Devin Booker outside of DeAndre Ayton. And when they had that, they went to the NBA Finals. So we'll see what we get from the Phoenix Suns. Give them a B, same as the Dallas Mavericks. Next up, we have the Portland Trailblazers, who have Hansen Yang or Yang Hansen, Ryan Rupert, City Sissoko, Donovan Klingman, Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Blake Wesley, Caleb Love, Denny Avdia, and Chris Murray. I gave this young core a B minus. Um, Kind of some overlapping talent in Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Blake Wesley. Uh, but then Hansen Yang and Donovan Klingman also in um, two big centers that I don't think can play next to each other, even though Hansen Yang is so talented. Um, I just don't think the fit of having two slow-footed centers on the court is going to be able to work in the NBA. So I gave them a B minus. Can't put them above Phoenix or Dallas because some of these guys just can't play next to each other. Scoot Henderson hasn't taken that next step, but I think he can. And if he does, this could easily jump up to a B plus to even an A minus young core. But still hasn't solidified himself as the starting point guard for this team. Hasn't proven that he was better than Anthony Simons or Shaden Sharp. So just waiting on Scoot Henderson, and yeah, it could just never happen. So gave them a B minus just because I'm not super high on Scoot Henderson breaking out this year. Next up, getting to the end of this list, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who arguably have the best young core. Um, Dylan Harper, Carter Bryant, Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, David Jones Garcia, Julian Champagnie, Charles Bassey, and Devin Vassell. This young core is an A plus. I mean, I originally had them as the only A plus. I did go and switch the Oklahoma City Thunders to an A plus just because they won the championship, and three guys in that team were pieces on that championship team. This San Antonio Spurs team, you have two guys. You have the back-to-back Rookie of the Year winners. You have another guy that could fight for Rookie of the Year, could maybe even win it. Carter Bryant, who was probably the steal of the draft and what he showed. And then you also add that you have Devin Vassell on the back end of this young core. Um, these are all guys that are the building blocks of San Antonio, and it's just an A plus. There's not much to say. You have the guy that could be one of the best defensive players in the league for the next 10 plus years, and you have Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, who could be your backcourt, and then Devin Vassell playing the three. I mean, yeah, this it's just an A plus young core. There's not much to say with this team. Final two teams, we have the New Orleans Pelicans with Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, Yves Missy, Trey Alexander, Jordan Hawkins, Brandon Boston, Micah Peavy, Carlo Medikevich, and Hunter Dickinson. I'm not high on this young core. Derek Queen obviously has already been injured. Yves Missy is a really solid player. Jeremiah Fears, just think the mold of him is going to fit like a Jordan Poole kind of mold. So, not expecting too much from him. I gave this young core a B minus, or not a B minus, a C to a C minus. I think I'm gonna stick with a C. I think a C minus feels a little bit too harsh for this young core, because Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen could turn into really strong scorers in the NBA. The defense on the other hand, is not very strong. And Yves Missy, don't know. Um, Obviously the Pelicans aren't really high on him, which I don't really understand why. He was arguably one of your better, um, one of your brightest spots last year, and being a later round or being a later pick, he really shined, proved that he can be a starting center for you. So don't really know. Just gonna give it a C. Not much to talk about with this New Orleans Pelicans young core. And the final team, we have the Utah Jazz at a B minus for me. They have Ace Bailey, Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, Taylor Hendricks, Keontae George, Kyle Filipowski, Bryce Sensabaugh, Walter Clayton Jr., RJ Lewis, Walker Kessler, and KJ Martin. Really solid young core, a lot of variety in players. You have centers that can put the ball on the floor. You have centers that are just rim protectors, great shot blockers, great rebounders. You have scorers. You have guys that can facilitate the basketball. I love the variety of this Utah Jazz young core. Obviously, some of them haven't panned out so far. Cody Williams looked really bad in his first year, but Bryce Sensabaugh, I think, is going to have an insane breakout year this year. I think he's going to be on the hunt for most improved player if the Jazz are good enough. So I gave this Utah Jazz team a B minus for this young core. And that is all 30 NBA teams graded from A to F on their young core of 24 years of age and younger. This has been Beyond the Scoreboard, and I'm your host, Michael Lyons.